All right, so it's going on Facebook and it's going on YouTube. So if you guys see it pop up, just share it if you want. But it's going.
Yes, I'm gonna try to do that.
I should do that. Yeah.
Do a little audio test. Everyone can hear everyone.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Do you guys hear any feedback or anything when I'm talking?
Nope.
No.
Sound good. I'm trying to share it. Let's share this thing. Oh, there we go. Sure.
All right. So Frankie, what were you saying we should talk about this time? You were just saying in the chat.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think we do best when we kind of just freestyle, right? Just get into it. I was talking to Eric earlier, and it kind of spawned in my mind like how this whole thing came to be, right? I think we're kind of familiar with it, but anyone who's watching us probably isn't, or anyone who watches this later.
Okay. Well, who wants to start?
Hold on. Figuring something out right now.
What?
I mean, 5 people watching. This is high pressure here.
There's 6 people on Facebook right now.
Oh snap!
Wait, another person came on? 2
That's me.
Erics?
Okay, I'm switching into the.
Dude, I had to like fix it. I was hearing myself, and there was like what I said 10 seconds ago. I was like, I gotta get out of here, man.
Dude,
So now I'm good. I'm good.
look how cool David looks, though. Oh
Alright,
my
I got
god.
it.
Dude, does he not look like he's about to spit a hot 16 at us, dude?
Looks like he's coming down from heaven.
Yeah. That's literally no lighting where he's at. That's just how he looks.
He just came down from heaven real quick for this call. It's no big deal.
This is crazy. Dad.
How's the audio? Is everyone's levels like good?
Yeah, I think so.
Mason was saying Frankie's kind of low. That's what Mason said. I'm looking at the.
No, that's just his voice, man.
He said I'm low?
That's what he was saying.
Oh man.
I think you sound good.
Yeah, you sound pretty good to me.
Yeah, to me you sound super bassy.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah, you
guys.
sound super basic to me too.
No, man, so what were we talking about? Okay, the SemiPros, right? That came
Yeah,
up.
the origins.
Man, so like, I don't know. I forget who I was talking to. It was Mike and Eric. I feel like I was talking to Mike and Eric about this a lot, and it was like I imagine like the other guys, right? Like everybody's seen that movie. If not, you might be lost on the reference, but pretty much it's like how Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell were like, hey, maybe they're not the best, but they're what we got. And I don't mean that our skill by any means is subpar, but we don't take ourselves super serious, right? Like we're a bunch of dudes that we know some stuff and we can help some people, but we're very approachable. We love to talk. We love to meet people. So instead of putting this like pedestal title, this unattainable thing, this pro like elite level, it's like, no, man, we're semi-pros. Like,
Yeah.
help you out. Come talk to us. This is the way I envisioned it in my mind. I don't know. Could be totally different for you guys.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
It sounds-
I think that's
sounds
good.
to me.
Oh, do you guys hear all those crazy sounds? Like, what was that?
I've got no. Oh, I heard a little bit now. Now you said it.
Hold on. Is that me?
No, it's gone.
That might be me.
Okay, I don't hear anything now. It's all good.
Yeah, I'll just mute when I'm not speaking.
I don't think I didn't hear anything like buzzing or anything. It was like someone left the chat room or something, but anyway.
Cool. So what's the plan?
Frank, you said you wanted everybody to introduce themselves?
I thought, yeah, if, because it's going to get chopped up or whatever it's going to be, we just talk about kind of like what we do and how we kind of all fell into each other pretty much. I feel like it just happened and it's been magic ever since, right? Kind of like, I guess, what helps us every day and how we help each other. I think this could be beneficial for other people that are watching this or watch this at a later date.
Yeah, sure. So, I don't know. I don't even remember how I met you actually, Frankie. I guess it was just through DMing you on Facebook, and just offering each other help. I I'd have to look it up to see exactly what we talked about because felt like it was a long time ago, but I guess it wasn't.
Definitely feels like ages ago, man. I think it was just DM. I think it was through the pro group at the Future, and one thing really led to another. I don't remember exactly what the conversation was, but I remember liking you right away, man. Just seeing the content, seeing the kind of person you were. I was very gravitated toward what you were doing. It was very inspiring, and I try to gravitate towards people that give me a certain kind of feeling. They're like surrounding yourselves with people you want to be like, or people that make you feel good, and that's what I get from you guys. There's no mistake or we didn't get together by accident. I don't think, at least in my mind. So everybody here, you definitely play a role in my life, not just like, hey, I'm friends with you because I'm getting something out of it, but really on like more of a basic level. I feel good when I talk to you guys. I feel better the rest of my day, and it gets everything flowing for me. So
Frankie makes all of us feel good all the time. It's like super powered, dude.
That's 100% accurate. I'm just gonna echo that. Yes.
Yeah, if you feel a little down, just be like, dude, Frankie, I'm not feeling that great, and he'll just like wreck you with some nice messages every time.
Frankie makes me feel like I could like apply for Pentagram tomorrow. And be like, cause he just has the positive vibes, and it just makes you feel that good and that confident in yourself. So props to you, my friend.
You could apply tomorrow, but you know what? They'd turn you down because you're just too good.
See,
There's the sample
point right there.
So funny. We're all just like sitting here cheesing so hard.
I know this is great.
People are gonna turn this off, and you're like, what is this?
I remember when
Hey, dude, we're up to 10, man.
Hey, there's I think I was like on the Future Pro group, and I met Frankie when he posted like the first time that he joined, and he's like, oh, this is for PPP, and I was like, oh, this guy's in San Diego. It's not that far away, and I just started talking to you. But you know, up until I started talking to you, I didn't really talk to anybody other than like Adam Hansel, right? Mainly because like I didn't have a feel for like how people were like. I think you did a good job of diffusing this like persona that people put out, because everyone in the pro group kind of makes you feel like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it always felt like they were moving really fast and doing all this like good stuff. But then when I came in, I was like, oh man, like I'm really behind. And then when I started talking to Frankie, he was like, yeah, man, I'm in school right now. I'm like doing all this stuff. You know, I'm really excited to learn like strategy and doing core, and I'm trying it out on my client. And I was just like, damn, dude, this guy just doing everything just cause like he's just doing it. Like nothing's really holding him back. And I remember talking to you the first time and thinking at the end of it, like, I should just do stuff. Because I feel like a lot of the stuff that happened with even this group is just because one person like decided to reach out to another and say like, hey, why don't we just like, you know, talk to each other and keep each other accountable, right? And then we got the group chat, and then later Dave came in, and it's been good since then, right?
Dave is, man, what an addition. I didn't see that one coming. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, you guys were like, hey, man, David Coe, I think he's ours, man. I'm like, cool. And like, since he joined, it's been a nonstop. Like, I can't believe you were ever not here.
Like the Warriors adding Kevin Durant, you know, it was like that killer movie. You know, it took us to the next level.
I think more than all the design stuff, this is the stuff that makes the group what it is just the encouragement and you know, people. It's not just like people hyping you up for hype's sake, but just, I don't know, having friends and people just encourage you along the road. And so it's been great. I mean, it's only been a week for me now. And I asked Michael kind of sheepishly, hey, what's this mastermind thing that you're doing?
Yeah.
And he kind of explained it to me a little bit. I was like, is there an opening for new joiners? And I threw it out there. And then do you remember the next morning I texted you a bunch of messages?
Yep.
You know what? I feel really bad asking you. I probably overstepped. I'm so
I didn't
sorry.
tell anybody about that. I didn't tell anybody about that because I knew
so bad.
because I fall asleep pretty early these days. So you probably said that like at 11 p.m. or something when I was out. But before I went to bed, I had already contacted everybody else, and I was like, hey, I think we should let this dude in. And Eric was like, oh yeah, I love Dave. Let Dave in. Let him in. Yeah, I'll let him in right now. And we were like, okay, all right. So it was fun. And then I saw like a long message that was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, I'm just not even going to read it. And I was like, you're in, dude. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah. That was a funny time.
The ongoing Facebook chat that's on for I guess most of you guys during the day, unless you're really into some work. I don't know. It's been like part of it. My productivity has like gone down significantly because of it. But the other part of it is like because I work primarily by myself at home, having access to other designers, other people who are running their businesses to just like, even if it's just for a few exchanges to get some, hey, you're still going, you're doing well, so that's been really encouraging. Something new I've never been a part of before.
I think, yeah, for me,
Totally.
I didn't have any like creative friends like before us. I really didn't. I'm coming from a different world, so this is all a lot of the principles and things that can be applied in design are things that I know very well. But as far as knowing people in the space and just having people to ask questions, that's going to take you hours of research on the web, or maybe you won't even find the answer. I can come in this group and send it before just for what it is. Hey, here's a dumb question, and have 5 answers, whatever, right off the bat. That would have took me, I don't know how long to find, man. And just the support, I think, is like the big thing for me. So like you guys are like my creative friends. Like I wouldn't know what to do really with myself. I would figure it out, but it's a lot easier. I believe in collaboration so much. And I talked about this the other night. I used to look at collaboration as a thing that was going to hinder me from growing. Like if I'm hungry and I'm eating, this much food and I give half of it away, I'm going to be that much more hungry, right? Yeah, you get to that other person to eat, but like you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people, right? That's kind of like the mindset somewhat. Well, that's wrong. Well, for me, it's wrong. I can't say with an absolute that is wrong, but I've noticed the more I've given, the more people I've talked to, the more people I've broken bread with, the more opportunities I've given away, I've got back 10x. And I can say that with a straight face.
Yeah, totally. It's like that. I mean, in the same logic that you're doing, like that analogy, when you're giving your food away to someone else, it's not like they're not giving you anything back. And like maybe you just think like I have all this rice, and I'm like I just want to keep this for myself. But someone else is like around the corner, they're just like I have all this beef. And they're like I just want to keep it for myself. But then when you guys start like collaborating and coming together, you realize that the exchange actually creates more value because you're able to create like better things. And maybe it's not like output like quantity wise, but like quality wise, like things change and juices flow and we get all these different options that we haven't had before. And I think that's what we kind of have to realize. Like I'm like you, where I used to be very lone wolf, right? Like if I wanted to do that, I mean, part of the reason why I know how to do like everything by myself is just because I didn't want to work with anyone. And it puts you in this mindset of like I can't trust people. And I think that first got broken down for me when I went to work at the agency, because at that point I was just thinking like, oh man, I've been trying to do this freelance thing, like solopreneur thing for so long. Like maybe I need to just work in an agency, right? Because it's like less stressful. You work for someone else. And I think at the end of it, I realized like it's not that I don't want to do a solopreneur thing, or I don't want to be my own boss, but I want to be able to work with people and like create stuff of value, and I just can't do it with the limited mind that I have for myself. And I don't think like I'm a dumb guy. Like I think I'm a pretty smart guy, but
yeah,
even at that, it's like there's only so much that you can do alone. So that's why I think something like this helps. And this was never meant to be like when people say like mastermind group, I don't know what that really means, but for me, it kind of feels like group therapy a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and I think you need that, dude.
Doesn't that happen though? We're always like, man, today, this is great. This happened. Or man, my glass is kind of half empty. And then you get like 4 of your buddies like, dude, what are you talking about? No way. That, boom. It's the whole, like me and Mike were talking about, I think on our call of reading the bottle, reading the label from the inside of the bottle, right? It's hard. And that's why I struggled for a long time. Like I'm very good, I think, at strategy, facilitation, negotiation, talking, like all these things, right? But web, like I have no real idea. And what I realized is that's okay. Why not be good at what I'm good at? There's enough people that are good at the other stuff. So that's really the realization that I had. Like when I worked with Mike on this, we're still working on this project together. Man, I was like, give me a quick 15-minute rundown on web. Like, what am I getting into here? And literally, like, blew me out of my chair. I was like, what are you? I am way underprepared for this. And he's like, no, I got you. And to have that, to like, hey, I got you, bro. Like, we're fine. That we were talking about that earlier, Eric. Like, we have everything we need between the five of us. There's nothing that could get thrown at any one of us that we couldn't reach out and within a couple of hours have a solution to. And that's such a powerful thing. I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, it's super awesome. And like even in just the day-to-day things, when something quick happens, you can just shoot something in like the normal chat we have, and just a couple of people are like, yeah, that's stupid, or oh yeah, that's good, real quick. Having that like immediate validation from like people you trust right away is really awesome. And I mean, how could you even pay for that? You wouldn't even be able to pay for that, you know?
No way.
It's just like direct trust with other people that you look up to. You know, it's like you can't, that's something you have to kind of make yourself, and it's definitely worth it.
I know. I think about that every day.
We should say like, this is cool, and everyone like, there's a lot of people like actually listening in. We probably don't have enough space to include more people into this group.
Oh, right.
Yeah, not to like discourage people from like reaching out to us, but I think the point of this is for us to inspire other people to kind of reach out within like other groups and try to form their own communities.
Good point.
Yeah, because it's not like you guys have to talk to us or like you have to be a part of this specific group. I think we just took a little more initiative right now just to do all this stuff, but there's no reason why, like, I think Melinda has her own group of people. Like she
does.
Yeah. So like people are doing this already. So if you don't feel like you have anything like this and I feel like it would like help a lot, I would, really encourage people to start forming stuff together with other people. There's no like a value exchange proposition that was made here when we made this group. It was just purely for the sake of us like being friends. And I think when you're able to build trust with people, that's when you understand that like the additional value that they bring has more like legitimacy, and you're more down to kind of like work with those like qualities of those people. Yeah.
Should we respond to some of the people that are posting on the live feed on that note?
Yeah, actually, the chat's going pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I feel we gotta speak to our pro group friends here. Yeah.
All right, what's the stuff?
Darian, what's up, Darian? I know we've chatted here and there online.
Mo, Tommy, Angel.
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, Mo. What's up, Mo?
Oh, Tommy. Yeah. Tommy's been crushing it lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it'd be cool the next time we have one of these to have one extra person on, like a guest on. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe eventually anyway.
I think that could help, man.
I have a question that I wanted to ask though. I don't know if we're gonna do this like kind of more free, right? We're not like putting us.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Ask.
Yeah. Frankie said, he's like really good at strategy, right? And then remember when we were on the call, we were talking about how it almost feels like people download like core or pay for it, and then they just execute core, and then just say like, oh, I know how to do strategy now.
Yep.
But you said that's not like what it is. Like that's a part of it. But what to you, like, what is strategy? Like, and how's that different from what people are doing right now?
All right. So for me,
I'll just mute for this.
I've been doing strategy for a long time, right? In a different context. You guys know my background. I'm not going to get into it here, but it's a living, breathing thing, and it's never the same and almost always built to fail. So the way that I've done strategy in the past is I'll look at that big problem set, right? Like, what are we trying to do? So like, I want to go to the grocery store because we need milk. Okay. I know I got to go get milk. How I do that, whether I get in the car and I drive down this street, or I hop on a bicycle and I skip the traffic or the road or whatever, that's all like different ways we can execute this, right? So strategy in itself, it's not taking core. You're not doing yourself any service. By all means, take core or whatever framework you have and execute it and apply it and do your best, because that's the only way you're going to get better. But strategy is not just following the framework and then like logging off the call and then it's just not going to appear, right? You have to work on your facilitation. You have to work on pulling those things out. I've never, ever conducted a strategy session where I've done the exact same thing in the exact same order. Normally, it'll go like I'll start off kind of like the same, but it's never the same, because no two people are ever the same and no mission set is ever the same. So it's always going to vary. And I think Zach could weigh in too. Zach's got a ton of experience strategy.
Yeah, well, I would just echo a lot of what you said, man. To be honest, like one of the first things I learned when I started practicing core a few years ago is that it's a mindset. It's not a recipe book. So that's like, everything you're speaking to is kind of speaks to that. It's like literally like page 3. If you buy core, that's kind of what it says. And I had to learn that the hard way for sure, because I was the guy like, okay, let's do our 6 brand attributes, and then we're gonna do user personas, and then to your point, Frankie, yeah, I had to learn like you have to kind of respond to the room and facilitate the room. But yeah, I mean, strategy to me is putting together a plan to execute tactics. And I think that's what you were speaking to, Frankie. And I think there's a lot of different ways to get there. Design sprint core. There's plenty of design thinking frameworks out there, but how you get there as a facilitator and getting people to work together, that's strategy, in my opinion, just based on my experience.
I'll tell you what too, man, and me and Zach have talked about this. There's a lot out there, right? There's a lot of people, and this isn't directed at anyone, but this is my perception, okay? I was billing like a decent amount for strategy, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I am not positioned well. My website is not good. Okay, there's a lot of things I need to work on personally, but I'm still billing high for strategy because I understand it and I can deliver and I know how to articulate that. So one of the things,
well, when Frankie gets you on the phone, it's all over, dude. Just got to get him on the phone with him.
100%.
That's the only challenge.
and here's the thing. It's nothing different than what we talked about, Mike, on our call. I literally, first thing I do is try to stop it from happening. I ask them like, why me? Why now? Why? All those questions. I'm expensive. Why do you want me? There's so many ways you could do this, because I want to know, what they want from me or why they're choosing to do this. It might not be the right fit, because you don't want to get with a client or start a project with a client that isn't 100% in, because they're just not going to take anything away from it. Then both of you are wasting your time. But if it is a fit, yeah, and if it is a fit, then you want to help them. If you just ask the questions and you go at it, Mike, you preach it. Don't go in there with an expectation. Just go in there, ask the questions, find out what they need, and then help them get there. That's business. That's strategy. And like Zach was saying, the tactics are going to vary. We could all 5 of us go in and have different tactics based on the same strategy. It's just how it goes. And the real point I want to get to here is I did this. I build, I don't know, 10K one month, and this isn't like tooting my own horn. This is to tell you guys this is possible, and I did it with a 13-inch MacBook Pro and AirPods and Zoom, and that's it. Okay, and a Keynote deck. You can have the Post-it notes, you can have the heat maps, you can have all the stuff, the time timer, and all that, and that's great. But that is not going to save you if you don't learn strategy, understand strategy, and you don't necessarily need it. What you need to do is create value. Always create value for your client. And however you do that, that could be with a pen and paper. But if you do that, then you're going to be successful and people will come back to you. In my mind.
So Julian is asking, for those people that use core as their strategy guide, what way would you say to those people to understand it better? I think he's asking, what would you do to try to make it more digestible, I guess, in a way where you can execute more? Like what you're talking about, I guess, right?
Is it because core to make it more digestible?
Yeah, because I think
understand the question.
it's
Oh,
like,
I think the answer to his question is you just need to do it over and over and over again. It's just about practice,
Yeah.
right?
oh yeah.
I agree,
Yeah.
100%.
And things will come up in those meetings that don't cover what you're trying to do, and you'll have to adapt and figure something else out because not every client and every project are exactly the same. So
It's fine with you.
I agree.
Angel's asking if there's any core alternatives that have helped out. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
There's some books and like other frameworks and
Yeah.
that really help.
100%.
Yeah, for me, dude, I have a bunch of books here, but like the story branding book is really good.
Yeah.
And
I use that.
anything by like Marty, I don't know how his name is.
Marty Neumeyer.
Yeah, Neumeyer. That guy's books are good. And then obviously, like Zach can speak more on this one, but the Sprint book.
Yeah, I was saying, if you guys are serious about learning alternatives, I've read StoryBrand and I've read Martin Neumeyer's books. They're great. I would definitely add that to the list, but
Dude, I got one.
Sprint is a great alternative to core. And in fact, I see that as kind of a meshing of the two. I'm really excited to see what Frankie's about to bust out here.
This one, dude.
Oh, yes. That's a
This
good
one
one.
is awesome.
Oh wait,
I created a whole new. No, me first.
Okay.
Oh wait. Everybody get books. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
is anybody gonna get Win Without Pitching? Because
No, because it's like $1 million on Amazon right now.
it's right here.
No, I'm kidding. I just talked about Sprint.
If you guys are in LA, Chris always has a stack of the Win Without Pitching that Blair has given him.
Oh, you can't see it. Oh, you got it too?
Lucky
Yeah.
ones are got it. Yeah.
I got this one. I got it, dude. Yeah, see?
You guys are so cool. I don't have it. All right.
Hey, look, see that?
Oh yeah, he's got the signatures.
Dude,
That's
you
so
did that
awesome.
yourself.
So it's a good book to bring for a signing because it's so tiny.
Yeah. This one, I just started reading this book.
Yeah.
This is
That's a good book.
Yeah, and then obviously this thing.
Yeah, that's a great book.
All right, I got one. I do got one.
Frankie told me about this book.
I bet he's gonna get
Yeah.
Lean UX.
That's good.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I haven't got that
I just
one
started
yet.
reading this other one. Oh,
I got it.
Reading
I
is so
didn't.
good.
I didn't read it yet. But dude, value proposition design. I created a whole exercise in core based on the book. It actually helped a ton.
Yeah, Frankie's
Yeah,
deck
that's a
was
good one.
sick, dude.
Wait, what
I
book
feel
is
like-
that, Zach?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you guys are interested in product design, I just started reading this, and this is, from what I've seen, read so far, I'm only a few chapters in. This does offer alternatives to core, or kind of like probably things you could add to it, just from based on what I've read so far. So especially if you're into like digital products or UX UI, I recommend this book for sure.
Zach, have you read value proposition design?
I have not, but I hear great things about it. Like
There's
you're
some
not the
stuff,
first one
man.
that's hyped it up. Yeah, I want to get it. Like it's high on my list.
I just think it would be like good to get your perspective because there's some stuff on prototyping and user testing and all things that I could ask you a million questions about that I think would be a good call. As far as
Absolutely.
itself though, and how I applied it to core, I felt like, at least for me, there was something missing. There was like a grand finale because when I go through core, or when I went through core as it was, as I received it, and we know Chris is working on the next step, it was like a bunch of exercises and then like curtain, and you're kind of like, now what do I do? So I created this strategy deck, right? And you guys have seen it. I shared it with the other pros. And it basically, it's something that I can deliver, right? Because I believe if someone's going to pay me this money and good money, it's nice to have something to give them, right? It just feels good and they feel good. And it's something that they can go back and get all those insights that we talked about. And it's organized beautifully, right? But what I added was a value like portion at the end. It kind of is that culmination for me. The way the book talks about it, it talks about fit. And it's basically user wants, right? And user needs. And then what you provide and how you do your pain relievers, your gain creators, where that stuff meets, that is value. That is the definition of value. And that's what you're trying to create, right? So basically at the end, I have this like structure where you take all the things that your users, let me back up. You're being objective, right? Up until the point that you get to the value. If your users have problems brushing their teeth, that's something you want to know about. Is it something you can help with? I don't know. But that's a problem. The value portion is where you knock it down to what you can help with, the things that you provide and the things that they need, and where you guys meet. And when you create value, those are things you can build campaigns about. Those are things you can write copy about. Those are the things that you can offer and what your consumer is going to buy.
Dude, yeah, that's kind of blowing my mind, to be honest. I love that. I love that approach. And well,
I'll send you the deck. I'll send you the deck after this in our super awesome group.
I was about to say, like, I want to see what's going on.
SemiPros.
I'm looking to add stuff to my toolkit and like magic, magic tricks. So
I'll send you that, and I'll resend the copywriting deck I just did the workshop on.
Oh, dude, how did that go, by the way?
Good, really good.
Yeah. Awesome.
It turns out a lot of people have problems with copywriting.
Oh, everyone does. It's like one of the biggest roadblocks in every project I work on.
I'll tell you who doesn't. Eric. Eric is a phenomenal writer, dude. Like, I've always had an innate ability to write, and I've honed the copywriting thing, especially since joining the AIGA in San Diego as a copywriting director. And Eric's like, we talked about social media for a while on Instagram, and I was like, dude, I'm being totally transparent. There's no reason to put on a front. Like, I'm one person. I decided to go back to school. I'm running design strategy sessions. I'm working a day job. I'm doing all this stuff, and I just don't have the energy to like portray something I'm not, right? People will appreciate that. And he's like, yeah, dude, I agree with that. I identify with that. I'm going to do that too. And like the next, like, I don't know if it was the same day or the next day, just like post it, like moved me to tears almost. I'm like, what is going on here with this guy? He's like, there's nothing this guy can't do. Love you, Eric. That's what this is.
No, actually, hey, if I hadn't talked to Frankie, I probably would never have done anything on social media. Like, even for me doing Instagram, it's like a lot because it's just pushing me to put stuff out there, and it's hard for me to get onto like Behance or making like YouTube videos or stuff like that because I feel like then my focus becomes like multi-directional, and whenever that happens, I see a lot of projects get started but I don't finish anything. So what I do is I set a goal for, like I said, if I'm going to do Instagram, I'm going to set a goal for it. And my goal was in the beginning, I was like, oh, at the end of the month or middle of next month or something, I'm going to try to get like 1,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
And then I just started posting crap and just like trying to be more aggressive with it. And I beat the timeline. And then so I met up with Chris and Matt, and I was telling them like, dude, like started out with like 250 like 3 weeks ago. I'm at 1,000 now. Like, I've been like trying to combine everything that I know in terms of making good content, but also integrating some like thoughtful, like long form content too. And then just trying to make myself look accessible, right? Just not like really putting a fake image of myself out there. And, when all those things kind of come together along with the other like social media strategies that we kind of talk about, it helped me to grow that account really fast. And then I think now it's at 2K. Like it's, my goal for the end of the year is to probably get like 10K because I just want to see that K.
Yeah.
But
and you get to link, dude. You get to link when you get to 10K
so
too.
Will you link me when you can link?
I know, right?
Yeah. So
we'll help you get there.
It always helps for me to have like a focus and a clear goal that I feel like I can accomplish. So once I do that, then I'll be moving on to like the next form of a medium. Maybe it'll be like YouTube thing, or I was thinking like a podcast, but I don't know if that's going to be something I really want to do. From talking with you guys more, I feel like there's better ways to execute that kind of vision. But yeah, man, I think that's the one thing I would tell people. If you have a hard time getting things done, just do one thing or like focus on one particular thing and then executing that one to perfection, or like to reaching like a short-term goal, like a SMART goal, right? Yeah. And once you can like see those like progresses happen, then the grind becomes a lot easier. You don't get like burnout as much, and then it's just a lot more fun, I think.
I agree, man. Social media was like becoming work, and everything kind of starts to do that after a while, right? You're like, at least for me, I'll like enjoy something, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have to post. I have to write this post. What am I going to write or whatever? And then I have to catch myself. My wife is like, she's a rock star. She helps me like in every way. And like, that's one of the things. She's like, you have to like manage that. You can't let these things like run rampant on you. And she, knows me. We grew up together. So it's good to have that like checks and balances. And now I have that with you guys. And the minute it stops becoming fun, it's like we have to recalibrate.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that our group is good for that, because whenever we feel like pretty down, I think it's nice that just you could just type in there like, guys, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
And then someone will kind of like be like, yeah, dude, this has been a hard week for me too. And then like kind of sympathizing with each other and realizing that the problem isn't just like isolated to who you are. Yeah, that's a huge thing.
Notice Mike's being quiet because he has to actually chop this video, and it's not fun.
Yeah. No, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. So everybody here kind of didn't do social media until we all kind of met each other then? That's what it kind of sounds like.
So
Frankie did.
I did.
Social before.
Yeah, Zach had, because you've been posting a lot of like, just like you had Zachary Designs or Zach.
Well,
Zach
you started your YouTube channel, which was a way big step, right?
That you guys definitely helped me out with that for 100%, and that was a huge deal for me. Like I've been putting that off for like, it feels like probably like over a year, and I just said, "F it, I'm gonna just start."
Yeah.
Now you're a couple videos in, dude.
I know.
Riding the wave.
Each one is hopefully getting a little bit better. I'm like learning Premiere on the fly, like literally. So
Yep.
yeah, it's been fun for sure.
At least you started with Premiere, because when I started, I just used After Effects for some reason.
I almost did that too, because I learned After Effects in school. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do After Effects. So I'm like, no, this is video.
Dude, I use iMovie, man.
That's better than using After Effects for just cutting like big hour-long videos. Like, oh my god.
How many layers did you end up having?
So just a waterfall of shit, just like, you know. Oh man, it was horrible. I'm so glad I figured out Premiere. And Dave, you're working on content, right, man?
I am. I've shot. So I'm working on two different things, but I've shot some things for the first one, which I didn't like, and then actually a couple days ago shot stuff for the main channel, and realized that my manual focus, shallow depth of field lens was out of focus, where I was like, I kept inching forward. I recorded like an hour straight just talking.
Oh man.
I thought I'll just cut this up. And by the time the hour was over, I started somewhere back here, and then somehow I ended up like this close. So my face was totally out of focus, and like the back of my shoulder was in focus. It's so distracting. And so I have to reshoot that. But at least going through the content, now I know like I don't have to talk for an hour. I can probably cut it down to like half an hour and then chop it up to smaller, obviously, than that.
Yeah, when I first started, it was like an hour in front of it, doing it like 8 times, and now I just kind of do it one time and just chop out the ums and everything else, the ahs, the coughs.
Right.
Yeah,
it took me like 50 takes before that one take, but it's like record, stop. So.
the hardest thing I had to learn was just to slow down when I talk, so there's a space in between my words, you know? Because sometimes you say something really nice and then you end it with an F-bomb or something really quick, and it's so hard to cut off. Because when you cut it, you're like, yeah, but then it just like, it's hard, you know, it's just really hard. But yeah, sorry, what were you going to say, Frankie?
I don't know anything like about video, or not much. And like, I always like, you guys, once the conversation steers that way, I'm like trying to pick up as much as I can. But I'm like, that's like when we were talking about doing this stuff, I was like, Mike, I can get on the camera and probably help you with the content portion. I was like, but if I have to start cutting this video, man, I don't know how long it's going to take, dude.
I can teach you everything that I know in like an hour, like easily. And I could just make a video for it, honestly. But what I do in my videos, it's not the technical stuff that's hard. It's not technically hard at all what I do, not even a little bit. It's just taking the time to cut it and make it make sense. That's what's hard. But the technical side of it is nothing. It's as basic as it gets.
Eric, we got on a call and he's like, "Oh, dude, I'll show you Webflow. Check this out. Boom, boom, wireframe, full-blown website in like 20 minutes." And I was like, "Yeah, got it, man. Yeah, no, don't got it.
Eric, are you really working on the SemiPro website? That's
I actually was. I was talking about it with Frankie earlier today, and like I have a vision for it in terms of what it's gonna look like.
oh,
too.
the vision.
Vision.
Because I was telling him,
It's real.
it was gonna be really like vintage style. The theme was gonna center around that Charlie Brown-esque type of illustration, like drawing us out like that, and us like kind of being the focus of that page. But it's in my head. Yeah, you'll see it in like a week or something.
All right, dude, that's awesome.
Well, the way he explained it was really cool, and it kind of fits our personalities, right? It's like this like approachable, not super serious group, but serious about what we do. But I think honestly, I was trying to rack my brain, right? Because I started this thing, even social media. I'm like, who the hell cares about what I have to say? Who cares? And I thought about the people that I care about, what they have to say, and I think people just kind of start identifying with you, right? It's like when me and Mike were talking, what you do. I mean, on some level, it's a commodity, right? You can find someone, for the most part, to do what you do. Maybe not exactly the way you do it, the tactic versus strategy, but you will find someone. There's not one person in one industry. It's like no one else can do this in the world. Not many. So it really comes down to you, right? And that's what we talked about. When you're selling something or you're selling your services, you're selling yourself. People, they're going to identify with you and they're going to come to you because they like you, not necessarily just the work. So when I think about us, and I'm like, man, why do people want to hear what we have to say? Why would someone jump on this live call tonight? And I think it's a combination of what we're saying, how we're saying it, and that they can actually process the information in a way that maybe they hadn't before. Like if people have questions about core and it becomes a thing and they want us to talk about strategy, and we can help them understand and do better strategy. That's a good feeling to me. I feel good about that. I want to help people.
100%.
Yeah, dude.
Tommy's asking about Webflow.
That's you and Mike.
Yep.
And learning Webflow. Learning Webflow is it's hard to say. Mike, did you learn Webflow, like the platform, knowing CSS, HTML, or did you learn it like?
Yeah, I already knew CSS and HTML.
Yes, I did too. The problem with Webflow is if you don't have like a base understanding of CSS and HTML, you're kind of limited in the same way that you would feel if you bought a template for WordPress and you just installed it and you were trying to make modifications to it.
That's true.
The thing that I would recommend is, since Webflow is free, you can just go on and make an account and just look at other people's projects and see how they put up like the specs and the settings on each element. Like that's the best way to learn. Webflow is still requires some front end knowledge in terms of how page layouts work. And the best way I can explain it is a website is basically like a giant slideshow. And each part of the website is like a section. So it's like a different page. And what you're essentially seeing is, if it was like a keynote, it's like a 10-page keynote just glued together in one long vertical form. And so if you think about it like that, Webflow allows you to build each section out, and then you can just make like a master style, which is like, the fonts, the headers, and how much like padding you want in between stuff. And it allows you to drag and drop like a couple of things that you don't really need to know how to code for. So if you can understand how code works, then you can pretty much do a lot of things in Webflow because it's a GUI. Yeah. But I will say, when I work with clients on Webflow, I usually use this thing called, what was that thing that I made you buy, Frankie?
Envision or Sketch?
No. The file.
Platforma.
Yeah, Platforma. It's a wireframe kit. So the wireframe kits all have. Yeah, they all have.
He didn't make me buy it. I don't want you guys to be tyrant.
So there's all these different elements of a website that you could just kind of mock up really fast, and then you can wireframe a website for your clients in maybe like an hour or two. And this is me saying like a full website with 10 pages or so. It's really quick and really dirty. And then once they look at it and say, because it looks super nice too.
Yeah, it does.
They'll be like, oh, this looks really good. Like, is this a site? And you're like, nah, this is just the UX guys. Chill.
It's the wires, man. It's not even UI.
Yeah.
The wireframes themselves, that part, you can I mean, Eric could give you a
can do
crash
that.
course in 10 minutes.
It's super easy. But once you do that, you get it approved by the client. You haven't actually built anything yet. So you save yourself tons of time. Because the problem that I see with a lot of web designers, and this is something that I struggled with until I started working.
Hey, I just want to say, Eric, you feel free to share your screen if you want. Anybody, you know, they want to like bring something up or whatever.
Yeah, I could do that. But yeah, okay, fine. I'll show you guys. Damn, man. Give me a second.
Oh, I wasn't even prepared. It's like, oh.
No, I'm just saying, like, don't forget that you can do that like really easily. You know, it's just Zoom.
Let me show you guys how easy it is. But in terms of the workflow of putting together a website for a client, clients will have all these thoughts that they want to say to you, like when you're building the site, even when you're done building the site. So what you have to do is you structure out the process of making the site into different stages. And for me, the thing that worked the best was we do like the style frame and stuff like that, like the stylescape stuff, finding out what kind of images they like, what kind of style they like website references. And then once you've done that, you kind of, you have that baseline of what they like in terms of feel. And sorry, I got to close a bunch of windows, but let me share the screen with you guys. And then once you do that, you understand like the goal of the website, the purpose of the website, then you can kind of get into the wireframing stuff. So I'll share this screen.
Well, we do something similar while you're sharing screen, but we'll do like wireframe and a stylescape like in tandem. You know, kind of save time, almost kind of be somewhat agile.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I'm one guy, so I can't really do that.
Yeah, I am very spoiled with teams of engineers and designers. So.
All right, so
this thing looks awesome. Screen? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you see this. This is something called Platforma. So if you see here, every single module for like a website is already included. You'll have like the testimonial session, price tables, call to action, forms, contact, like all that crap, right? So once I've determined what kind of site I was going to build for someone, I'll just make a new document, and then like this makes me feel like I'm a cheater, but I'm not. I'm just really efficient.
You're doing all of your tricks.
Yeah. So you get this is Sketch, by the way. So you get your artboard ready, and then you can make whatever shit. All right, guys, this is not family appropriate, so I'm swearing too much. Okay. Then I'll essentially.
I haven't even swore yet, dude. It wasn't me.
You can bleep me out, but you can go in here, start looking at this the modules, and I already know from like how we build sites normally. It's gonna have a header section. Depending on what it is, you can choose. Let's say if you're doing a product or an app design, you can just take one of these things, just like slap this in here. All right, that's one section. And like I said, it's like a slideshow, so you just keep dragging other stuff, right? Maybe afterwards I want to build another testimonial section or like content section. Do that. Features. This is gonna be really dirty. Like I'm not thinking anything about this, but I'll show you how easy it is.
Your entire design process right now.
Yeah, I'm showing you right now. No, I think a lot more though. And then team.
No, it's because you have so much experience doing this. This is how easy it is for you. You know, it's like you can't just slap stuff together and it would work. You'd have to, you still have to know what you're doing.
Obviously, yeah.
And Eric obviously knows what he's doing.
All right, this is once you've done the UX and determine who you're selling it for. All right, I think this is good. I'm gonna put a contact form and a footer, and then I'll call it. All right, there we go. Thank God for smart guides. Okay, so. All right, guys, this is what I do for my clients. I put together wireframes like this. And then obviously you want to like change out this information and say, this is not a wireframe. Template. Not a template. Oh God. Okay. And then you just make it look very like professional. The great thing about this particular template, the Platforma kit, is that once you've designed this initial thing, you can actually go in and start changing it globally, like the styles. So I'm gonna show you that too. So I'll select this, and you see how it says H1 styles right here? Well, I can decide I don't like Roboto, and I'm gonna make like a style sheet based on what the client says, and then the stylescape, right? Whatever we determined, and then I'll maybe like choose Brandon Grotesque, and I'll say like that's the font that they want, right? So like keep in mind now that we have this H1, it doesn't look like the other H1s, but luckily since the Sketch, once I determine exactly what the look is, and even like the color of the font, I can just go in here and update text style. And then you're gonna see, this is an H1.
That was way too smooth. I knew it wasn't gonna work.
Let me do it again.
It was
Alright,
too
guys.
flawless.
It's all right. It's all right, dude. I didn't know what I was putting in
according
here.
to plan.
Yeah, hey, I'll do it again.
Like
All
any
right.
second now, Eric's gonna lose power or something.
No, okay. All right, update text style. So
Boom.
everything here, you see that? All the headers are going to be updated. And you do this for every single thing. Like even if you don't like the color of the backgrounds and stuff, you can go in here and choose the background color, right? And then change it. And I'll change this background color to maybe, I'll just do like a gray. And then once I've done that, I can even go in here and then update this style. And then now everything using that background color, there isn't any, but if it worked, they would globally update everything. So the styles, like you can update the UI of it really quickly once the UX is done. And then it gives your client an understanding visually of what it's going to feel like. And then you take this and then go into Webflow and you use what is called like an atomic design, like, template. And then you can literally take parts like, oh, here's a content section. Here's like a header section, and just do the same exact thing on a website. And you build like entire websites within a week. Like I built a site just like this for a client in a week, and I was able to build like 3K for it. So it took like 10 hours in total. So you can streamline your process and make it look really good, and while you're doing it too. So yeah, if you have questions, you can ask about it, but I'm gonna stop
For
that.
all the non-UX web people, you're using a template kit and using that as your sort of arsenal of visuals in Sketch, which is the app.
Yeah, the actual kit is called Platforma, and it's by a company called Great Simple. So yeah, Platforma. Yeah, I'll type it in here.
Yeah, I would also add, because I use Platforma. I think it's a great place to start, but I definitely recommend a lot of customization and when you're finishing it too, because I've seen a lot of sites or like UX UI designers kind of like not doing enough customization on kits like this, and it's like I don't know. I feel like you're kind of doing your client and your project a disservice. So I think it's good to start with, but definitely got to do a lot of customization as you finish the process.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That being said, like I don't build like shitty websites for my clients by like.
No, I just wasn't suggesting that at all. I just saying for people. I just didn't want people viewing to get an impression. Oh, all I gotta do is buy a Platforma and I can websites. I'm like, great start, but you gotta.
It is. It's literally like the start. We'll show.
It's like step 1 of 100.
Yeah, and then
exactly. There's a lot more to it.
Design core.
Like the point of that is so that they see something, and then you link them to something called like Envision, which is an app that lets you put all those websites, and then it's like a interactive wireframe, and they can actually go in and comment directly on each section and say like, I want to put this content here, or I don't think this works. Like, can we use something different here? And then you take that. And then you go into your wireframe kit and change things around. And then the customization starts there. So after you're done with that, then you have your entire website laid out, the wireframe, and then the client goes like, okay, the information flow makes sense and everything's good. Once you get that sign off, that part of that contract is done, that deliverable, right? So you move on to the next stage. And if they try to do any revisions and requests, like people get trapped in this development hell where the client will just be like, I don't like what this does. I don't like what this does. But then sometimes it'll be like, we're already making the website and all of a sudden the client wants to change like a banner color on one page, and they don't realize like you have to add another class for it and then make the CSS. Like it's not hard, but it's like more work. Yeah, so do all that stuff beforehand. Do it with that live wireframe so that they don't have the feeling of like, I have to commit to this too, because they understand that it's low fidelity.
Yeah.
Web design. I hate it.
You don't hate it, dude.
I'll stick to strategy, man.
That's what I do.
It looks like we have about 5 minutes left
Yeah.
before this call ends. So Rachel was asking about, because she had a bit of a technical issue with connecting, about what SemiPro was, and she was confused because we started talking about SemiPro website and what the intention was for
sorry.
regular calls and other content.
What is our intention? Just
I
to
think-
be supportive dudes, I think, right?
For me, I think we should see. I don't want to be. I don't think that's for us necessarily to decide. I think it's for us to steer and be like good stewards
Good
to
answer.
our audience or whatever is building.
I
Our
love
friends,
Frankie's
but
answers.
If people want something, right, and they want help with something, I mean, I feel like I always learn through teaching. I always make myself better when I go teach something. Like I did that workshop the other night on copywriting. I know how to copyright, but getting up there and teaching it and talking about it, one, helped me understand it even better, gave me some more connections and gave those people more connections, and it made a couple more people feel less alone. So if that's something that people want, if you want to talk about core, or you want to talk about web design, or you want to talk about something with us, let us know, and then this can become whatever we all want it to become.
Yeah.
I think for now the site would just be like a placeholder, honestly.
Yeah.
With just information about us, like who we are, and kind of putting a face to what we do. I mean, we don't even know what we do yet. We just kind of talk.
We all have pretty solid goals, though.
Yeah.
We all personally have personal solid goals.
And they're attainable, and they're more attainable, I think, because the five of us, we say them out loud. We have the resources within the group. And even if we don't have them here, I don't believe there's anything that the five of us can't figure out. So,
100%.
and I like the idea of bringing somebody else, every, so often on a call or something, if that's feasible for you guys. I don't know what the model looks like, but somewhere to hop on and we could just round robin or something. Like, let's be totally honest with anyone watching. We had no idea really how this was going to turn out tonight. We just decided that it needed to happen. And I feel like it's beneficial. Yeah. I feel like it's beneficial. I hope people watching found it beneficial. I feel better afterward. There's a ton of stuff that came up here that I think was totally awesome.
Yeah.
Made me feel better.
I'm gonna have to go through
actually
and find it.
surprised at the people who are like sticking through. I mean, it's an hour of hearing some dudes that you've never met over the internet talking about life. So,
Right.
So dudes or SemiPros?
Yeah, SemiPros.
Yeah, we got up to 24 people at one point.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to clarify is like we talk about all of our I guess passions or the things that we do well. And I guess to a lot of people it might come off as we're like experts in what we do, but I don't think we're necessarily at like we can speak on behalf of the entire community kind of level. So this is like a lot of the stuff is just what we've discovered from like our mistakes. And I think there's this idea that you might be doing something wrong because you're not doing it in the right process or like a determined framework. But most of the time, dude, if you can do something and get it done in a way that you think is efficient for you, like I would just say, just look for ways to improve that. Don't feel like you're doing anything wrong. I think that's the wrong mindset. Yeah.
Dude, that's everyone I've ever talked to that's been good at anything. You talk to them and they're like, me? No, I'm just, I'm still figuring it out. It's a common trait. And I think Mike and I hit that in our call. For me, it's like, I mean, what is an expert, man? Someone that knows what they're talking about for sure. But is that to say that their word is like the gospel, or there's a ton of ways to do it, especially in the creative field. You can do this 100 different ways. And I think it's about giving people options and making people feel not alone in those situations. And if we can help someone legitimately, I mean, why struggle to sit here and be like, I'm an expert at this, or like, I'm not going to argue with you or stand my ground as far as, hey, you need to listen to me because I have all these awards. Like, you know what? I mean, that's great. And that makes me feel better, I guess, and some people, but it really, for me, it comes down to what you're saying, if it helps me or it doesn't. So it doesn't matter what your awards are or your acclaim is. The five of us, or you four, like I would go to you before anybody. And I mean, there's not a bunch of awards sitting on the back of anybody's wall here. So really, to me, it's about the benefit and the value.
It's Legos.
Yeah, just Legos and a guitar and a lava lamp.
I've got a print in a mirror.
Hey, that's what Chris was saying too. He's like, Blind has all these like awards and stuff, but do people really care? And I met him in person. I was like saying like, I think people do, man. And then he's like, I really don't think so. And he kind of backed up why, saying like, at the end of the day, like people don't care that you won like an Emmy, like it doesn't offer value to them at all.
Doesn't.
Right.
What are you gonna do for them?
Yeah.
They don't care. They really don't. They want low risk and pay as least amount of money as possible to make it happen.
I mean, I value experience, but you know what I value too? The people that want to prove something. The people, not in a risky way, but the people that are hungry enough to eat and to do the work and that aren't going to coast on the accomplishments that they had 10 years ago because that one time they threw that touchdown pass and they keep going back to their school 10 years later with their varsity jacket. That's not what I want. I want someone that's always going to push the envelope, humble themselves, keep learning, keep getting better, and understand that like I'm really good at this, but like, okay, if it's not this and nothing is ever one thing, especially in a giant project, you're going to need help. You're going to need to talk to other people, right? So I think for me, I mean, that's a lot of it.
Well, I think it's a good way to end. I gotta get off. To be honest, I'm sorry. I have a flight really early tomorrow. So.
Yeah, Zach's very important. He's got to get on his flight.
I am not important at all. I just need to go to bed.
He's the most important, I'd say, out of all, as far as like, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Zach, then David.
It's for his sprint, right?
Yeah, we have 2 workshops.
Getting flown out.
No one else here is flying out in the morning for a sprint. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, badass.
Oh, no, look, I feel really lucky for sure. It just my flight is early. I don't feel lucky about that part, but I feel lucky that I get to go up there a lot and do stuff like that. I'm very blessed for sure.
I'll tell you what, man. Talking to you all the time, I know you're a man of few words on here, but it doesn't surprise me one bit why people are flying you all over to get you to get in the room with them.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. You guys, like
it's
I said,
the beard.
Good. Like, it's definitely the beard. I always like make like Games of Thrones jokes at the middle, like beginning of my workshops. Like, I know I look like this large Game of Thrones character, and I'm gonna make you if you guys start like breaking the time restrictions. But other than that, we're gonna be best friends. It's great. Let's do something like that.
Just need a sword, dude. Just need a sword.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, Zach. You get out of here.
Good stuff. Yeah, you guys keep crushing it, and I'll see you guys on the chat and all that good stuff.
All right, later, dude.
Are we staying on? Is it just Zach?
It's up to you guys.
I got time.
I got time.
Yeah, I can
All right,
see
guys.
it a little longer. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Zach. We'll catch you later, dude.
Have a good trip.
Yeah. Yep.
Later, bro.
Microwave.
Yep. All right, guys.
Oh, then there were 4.
Oh yeah, we all got a little bigger.
That's
All right.
cool. Do I look like that? Oh my.
Dude, we still got 20 people live right now.
Wait, how are
crazy.
you
I'm
checking
thinking.
this?
So let's
On
Restream.io.
restream.io.
I'm
Oh,
thinking.
It's I'm streaming to Restream, and Restream is splitting it to Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
More stuff I don't understand, but I'm so thankful that you guys know what's going on.
It's cool, dude. Got you.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You got me, and I know that. But I think we need to listen. Like, let's recalibrate here. So, what do we hear so far? I think we could help people with strategy, right? If that were a thing, if people had questions, I mean,
yeah. If anybody has any strategy questions, put them in the Facebook. Write me out.
we could help people with UX. I know Zach just left, but you guys are still good UX, web, UI.
I'll check the YouTube.
David has literally endless wisdom
Write me out.
for anything. If you have a question about life, you come here and you ask David.
All right, so there's only a couple people watching on YouTube. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know. I'll read them out about strategy. But go ahead, dude.
I mean, we should canvas like the group after this, or whoever, you know, took the time to watch, or anybody that watches after, and like get that feedback. That's what I was kind of hinting at before too, when we were talking about like, what is this? What isn't it? Like, I don't know. I don't think we know yet. I think people are going to help us figure that out though, right?
Yeah. I know nothing.
Ah, there he goes again. Eric, man.
Oh, Eric. No.
I think he just likes keeping us in the, like, you know, at arm's reach, you know, and then he just pulls all that miraculous stuff out. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know if I'm going to do it again. It's just, you know, this one time thing. It does it again. You're like, Eric, I think you're not being totally honest with us, man.
You just hit 2,000 Instagram followers.
That's like
destroying
very
us,
little in the long scheme.
Yeah, but it's not very little compared to where you were like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That shit grew fast.
There's some questions here, dude.
What was your poster? It was like, there was some crazy engagement with that, right? Because we both looked at it, and our last post was like pretty similar until all of a sudden it like blew up.
I posted that one on a Sunday night. I think that was a really good time, because when I posted the other one in the middle of the week, it didn't do as well. Yeah. So I think for posters, Sunday night at 7 p.m. That's prime time.
Semi-pro hack. If you're posting any posters, Sunday.
Do a good poster and then put in those hashtags.
Eric, did you look into that app I was talking about?
Which one?
The one that helps you to figure out what's the optimal time to post?
No, I didn't get to do that one. Wait, didn't you link me to like an iTunes thing?
Was it iTunes? I think it's iStore.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I remember looking at it and thinking like, I thought I had to download it.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Because I'm not on iPhone. It's only available on iPhone, but my friend.
Okay.
Hold on. Do it quick. Well, I'll do it after. You can post it in the description.
Oh, Julian says some of my prospects are B2B companies, and when doing strategy, I find it a little harder to show value compared to businesses that attract consumers. Why? Okay, I actually know this one. B2B. So I feel like I have to talk to him though. Can we?
Yeah.
Does he have a?
Yeah. Oh, I hope you're ready. You asked a question. Only if he's comfortable, man.
Yeah, Julian, we can bring you on if you want, but.
Yeah, I work for a company. We do a lot of B2B as well. Yeah. I'm like hired onto them, so I think between the two of us, we could figure it out.
I think.
Oh, you want to bring somebody on right now onto Zoom?
If we can bring on Julian, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Send me a private message really quick, and I'll send you the link.
We need some like more information. What tools do we use for remote strategy, and how do you use them, dude?
Zach,
this thing right here. Seriously, you are the tool in my opinion. That's why it's so vital. I'm serious. Was that too corny? I mean,
you called him a tool.
You are the tool.
Yeah, you're not a tool. You are the tool.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, does it make better? I don't know. Maybe I'll quit.
Yeah, you can just like Skype with them, dude. Remote strategy or in person. I would definitely say in person is always better if you have the option, because well, you're in person. Right?
I've done every strategy session that I've been paid for, like pretty good, on Zoom.
Mm.
So I can't imagine doing it remotely.
Yeah,
I've only done it in person.
It's not hard. I mean, for me, it's not hard, and I think because that was my option. I love to be in front of people, and I love, you know, you can get in the room. It's awesome, but if you think about like the likelihood, especially for us, right? Let's call it what it is, semi-pros, right? Okay, I want to do your strategy. Like, does the person you're working for have the budget to fly out or to fly you out? Maybe. But if they don't, then it's our job to design an alternative, right? Strategy, solutions, tactics, all that. So I think the way things are trending too, remote work is on the rise. I think it was Fast Company or somewhere that I read this, right? This remote work, it's rising, right? Less people are actually going brick and mortar or like in-house, whatever. And whether that sticks, I don't know. But for strategy, whether it's hard or not, or what your preference is, I am confident that you can get similar, if not the same results remotely, because I've done it multiple times.
Julian's here.
Oh,
So, man.
I don't think he has a cam, so.
Yeah,
That's okay.
he should have a mic, I think, right?
Yeah, some kind
Otherwise, why are you here, man?
Just goes right to the chat.
It's like this. We're just going to use the Zoom chat now.
Is he in the chat?
Yeah, she's in the chat, but
it's not functioning.
Oh, okay. B2B. Oh, if you guys don't know what B2B is, it's business to business, and B2C is business to customer.
Yep.
Wait, can you hear him talking? Because I can't hear him talking.
No.
Oh, okay.
Hello?
I don't think he's talking yet.
Hello.
There he is.
Yeah, I got him. Hey,
Yeah.
Julian.
What's up, guys?
What's
is there
up,
any
man?
way that you can turn up your mic a little bit?
Yeah, hold on.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you restate your question?
Yeah, just let me get my mic volume up.
And just remember, this is live on YouTube and Facebook.
No take
Yeah,
back.
no pressure, man. In case we can't solve the problem.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
No, then we just fake a system crash.
Hold on. I'm hearing both the Facebook and the Zoom. Let me mute one.
Yeah, I had to turn my Facebook off because I was getting thrown.
Hey, no refunds.
Yeah, wait till I accidentally do that. Then it'll loop and keep going and
I
keep
don't have
going.
a cam, unfortunately, but hold on.
No refunds, no exchange.
All right, can you
Yeah,
guys hear
with the
me or no?
disclaimers now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Gotcha.
All right, man. Yeah, so basically my question is, how do I propose value when I'm proposing strategy to a client that does B2B rather than like a normal consumer?
What makes
How do
you
you-
feel like you can't offer them value because they're B2B?
I don't know. I feel like it's a different, I don't know. I just feel like it's different in some way. Maybe it's like a mental block or what? I'm not sure.
Do you do anything different when you work B2B over people that you work with B2C?
I've never done B2B yet.
Oh, so that's
the
why.
thing.
So it's like a hypothetical question.
Yeah. Actually,
So-
no. Well, one of my friends has a B2B company, and when I told him that I'm learning strategy and whatnot, he was like curious to know on how it could bring his company value, and I couldn't really articulate it as well as if it was like a normal consumer. I don't know if that's just a mental block or what.
I think. Go ahead, Eric.
No. I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the way I'm hearing it, to me, at least the way I would facilitate it, nothing changes. Whether you have one person, an individual, say, that's dealing with, business to consumer, right? Or you have a large business, or even a person that's dealing with a business to business, the end user, whether it's a business or consumer, the process is the same in my eyes. You're still looking to profile that person to create value. I had a client a couple months ago, maybe January, February timeframe, and they're actually a professional racer. So they race, and the users we profiled, some of those users were individuals, right? And some of them were race teams. So it would be more like B2B-esque.
Got it.
Nothing changed. You're still identifying the personalities, but one thing that does help, excuse me, is identifying maybe like a point of contact or who is going to be the face of that business. Because if your business is, I don't know, Starbucks, you're not going to profile Starbucks, or you are, but you're also going to profile, Marie, who's the point of contact, and she's the marketing officer, and that's who you're going to deal with. And this is what is important to Marie, and this is what Marie's problems are, and this is what a win looks like to Marie. Whenever I do this, I always try to figure out, what does a win look like for that person that we're serving, for the person that I'm serving, and for me. And if you can help everyone win, that's where that value is going to come in to me. But you have to know what it looks like first.
Awesome.
I think you also have to look at it like this. because I remember, now I remember. So when I was working at the design firm back like last year, all of our clients were B2B. And to be honest, we didn't do a good job. But that's because like I didn't understand the value of strategy. I didn't understand like that basically design without strategy is just art, right? So I wouldn't have even called that design firm a design firm anymore. They're just like art firm. They make really nice graphics and websites for people. The first thing I noticed when I took on a particular client is they do B2B, and they're like they white label products for other businesses. So promotional items that companies give out, like when you go to like Apple or something, or Apple's not a good example. All right, let's go to like Staples, and then they give you those pens, or like a Staples branded like wireless charger, like stuff like that, right? They're the company that makes those and it sells it to Staples. So their market wasn't like consumer related at all, right? Because it's not like Staples is selling those, like they're giving it to their users, their employees, right? So when I got to the firm, I looked at their website. The weirdest thing was the site looked like it was made for like retail. So as like the end user or someone who ended up on the site, it didn't make sense to me, like the positioning of it. So I told my boss, I was like, man, this is me not knowing UX, not knowing strategy. I just told him like, this site doesn't make sense, man. If you're trying to sell to people who are trying to sell to other people, wouldn't you want to include that in the messaging? Like that's the most base level, right? And just being able to say on the first page of the site, like we do stuff for other businesses, like making your market statement clear. Mm-hmm. Like without that, they don't even show up on search, like SEO rankings. Like we searched up promotional items, they don't show up until like the 50th page, and they're one of the biggest ones. Like stuff like that. Like if you want to know how you can help them out with strategy, like messaging and positioning is huge.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're going to end up spending. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, they're going to end up spending a lot of money on things that don't serve a purpose, and you have to be, as a strategist, like asking them questions about that. Because one of my clients came to me and said like, "Hey, I want a brochure," and I was like, "Oh, why? What's the brochure for?" Yeah, and you got to keep asking why, because he wanted to get the brochure out so he could get information to people, parents throughout Korea, right? And he thought, oh, I just need to print these out. I print out 20,000 of these, and then I just need to get 30 people to sign up. And I looked at it like, dude, you have 20,000 brochures and you only get 30 people to sign up. That's really bad. I asked him like, how much are you spending every year on this? He's like $8,000 to $10,000. I was like, oh, yeah, that's the problem. Isn't the fact that you need a brochure. And I think a lot of designers will come in and they'll hear the brief like, hey, can you make me a brochure? Yeah. And then they'll go work on it. Yeah. But as strategists, the difference is that we look at that situation and go, what is this for? And then help them to get to the core problem and then find answers to that problem in creative ways. So in this situation, we realize, hey, making a website is more valuable for you because A, you can get it out instantly. Like you don't have to wait. And then B, you don't have to spend money on it every year. So we instantly saved him like, I don't know, $50,000 to $60,000 worth of collateral just by doing this $3,000 to $5,000 website. Like that's value. And if you can sell that to your client, that's when you know that you're doing a good job for them. You don't feel bad about that, right?
At all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the value thing, man, that's not something, don't feel like that's something you have to prove. Yeah, people want to know that you provide value, but like Mike said, man, no expectations, go into that thing and just be you, right? And listen and ask the questions. Like Eric said, oh, you want a logo? Why? For what? Nobody just wakes up and wants a logo, right? There's probably a reason. And inevitably you asking those questions and, calculated, okay, that means this. Okay, so then why do you feel that way? Whatever. That is going to show your value. So don't go into this like, I have to show this person value. How am I going to show them value? This is how I show you value because I'm awesome at strategy. Ask me about it. But no, man, you just like ask questions. And then the best case scenario is they don't need your help. They just don't. Oh, wow. You know what? I don't need to do this. That's cool. And then you just somebody avoid a huge like engagement that would have been a pain for both of you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
but
told many.
what you're talking about is like changing two different mindsets though. It's like you start in the mindset of selling and then that's not good. So then you change your mindset into giving value.
Yep.
And then you have to do it one more time. And that second jump is harder than the first, I think.
Yeah, because we talked about that, but it's there, man. Like Eric covered it. Well, I have another client that I work for too, and they were doing, I don't know, grossing like between, I can't remember, man. It was at least 2 million, and successful company, but their messaging wasn't great in their position. Like people didn't know exactly what they did, and they were making a lot of money. So it's story brand. We talked about it earlier. Two things that Donald Miller says are fatal to companies, right? That hurts them the most is they don't clarify their message, so people don't know what they do, and they don't position their customers as the heroes. They talk about themselves too much. So those two things are huge in messaging and in the way that you approach things. If you can just think about, like I said, what the win is for that person and help them get there, you're going to be on the right track because you have their best interests at heart.
I always tell clients, like, if you think you just going out there and talking about how awesome your product is, or like your website is, like that's kind of the equivalent of if you're all hanging out in a room and you're just like in the corner yelling to yourself about how great you are. It's like, would you want to talk to that person? It's like, no, dude. Like, you have to understand that people want to be they want a reason to trust something, but you're giving them all the reason not to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
I know we just talked for a ton. What else you got, man? Did it get better or worse? Where are we at?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, it's great, man. You guys gave me like awesome tips, especially the point that Frank just made about as a Frank or Frankie, let's say Frankie, that Frankie just said
Frankie's what my friends call me. So yeah, call me Frankie.
Right, Frankie. Yeah, so
smooth.
Basically saying how not to try and show value and just ask the questions and the value will like come up. And I feel like a lot of times when I do the strategy, I'm always in the back of my head trying to show the value. And I do notice, obviously, when I ask the questions, the value does just sort of flow into it. So I think I got to keep like reminding myself that just keep asking the right questions and the value will come up to fruition.
It's a classic, like if you're a doctor, right? We always talk about that diagnosing, right? It's like you walk in, don't say 2 words, and the doctor goes, headache, Tylenol. And you're like, what? You have to listen. Like there's no way. That's the problem. I think that people have a disconnect. They try to show value and they don't even know what the problem is.
Right.
I think they know what the problem is. There's no way on earth you could show the kind of value that you're looking to show for a specific problem. You can build case studies and show people that you're valuable in doing the things that you want to serve, like the way that you want to do the things. You know, I do strategy and these are my case studies and I took this business from X to X or X to Y. That's valuable. You're showing value in a way there. But as far as value specifically for the person or the client that you want to serve, there's no way you can do that without listening or without knowing what's going on.
Oh man, I literally have like a smile on my face because something just like unlocked in the back of my head. And like, I feel like this is huge.
Good,
man.
That's what I want to do.
I have like one practical thing that you can think about.
Sure.
When I did core on all my clients, the one really powerful thing that we found was the last part of the attributes. I don't know if you've done core before, but
yeah, I use it.
Yeah, the last part of it is finding out the X factor, right? And I don't know if you read this book that we were talking about earlier, the SAG book, right? But this whole thing is basically talking about that. Like that's literally what this book is about. And I think for all my clients, that's the one thing they need more than anything else. Like, how are you different? And if you're, it doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C, like you can't get those SEO rankings up. You can't get those like specified customers if you don't know what makes you special. Yeah. So
right.
Like that in itself is going to offer a lot of value, like to your clients, if you can find out what that key information is for them.
Solid.
Julian, man, if you I don't know if you got it already or what, but if you shoot me a DM before or after some point, I'll send you the decks that I use for strategy and explain how I facilitate it. And then feel free to use it exactly as it is, chop it up, do whatever you want. If it helps you, I'm good with it.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks. Yeah, we've been chatting over Instagram actually past few days.
Yeah.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, cool.
Is my voice like super low still?
Nah, you sound good.
All right, awesome.
Sound great.
I'm gonna get a fucking cam. Oh shit, I can't swear. I'm gonna.
Classic. Beep. I can't swear. Beep.
Okay, we're getting to like 10:30. I think we should start wrapping it up.
Yeah, it's like 1:30 a.m. for me.
Oh,
Dude.
that's a dedication.
Yeah.
Gotta be up in 5 hours, so.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I'm glad that we unlocked whatever unlocked in your head. And if you need any more help, man, hit us up. Any one of us.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, man.
Peace.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike, any thoughts?
He's just thinking about how long this went and how much he's got to cut.
Mike's been super quiet
Yeah.
for Mike. Your mic's off, I think.
Mike's mic
Oh
is up.
no! How long has it
That's
been
what
off
was.
though?
The whole show, your mic was off.
No, it hasn't been that bad. It hasn't that bad. I was just muting it when I coughed.
He's sitting there like, why is no one taking my advice? I thought I said.
No, I definitely did say a couple things a little while ago that I was muted for. So, oh well. Whatever. I'll just dub it in. I'll just dub some like crazy stuff in.
Oh, dude, I didn't answer this question. Angel asked if strategy is something that is always pushed. She said she heard me mention that doing a website for 3K is including strategy. And I think Frankie charges for strategy, like just strategy sometimes. But for me, I kind of just use like strategic thinking, I guess, like the ideology of it when I design stuff for my clients. So I don't necessarily run strategy sessions unless they ask for it. But I think despite that, you could take a lot of the principles and then, marinate the work in it so that it doesn't feel like it's purposeless. Yeah.
I think we all do strategy on some level, right? No matter, I mean, when you design, you do it on some level. How deep and how wide you go, that varies, right? Depending. I do bill and conduct strategy as its own separate thing because the way that I facilitate it is its own event. It takes a lot of time, energy, and bandwidth. But there's a lot of success that comes on the back end for follow-on work. I'm not just talking like as far as money or anything, but actually the rate of success for anything that I'm designing or, working with the team and designing after that, because we all understand exactly who we're designing for. We understand exactly where the company's positioned, what they're doing good and what we want to focus on, because you can't do everything, right? Every time I ask a client, like without fail, what do you do? Who are you for? Everyone, everything. Doesn't work. Can't. And that helps them see the benefit, see the value, and get out of their own way, really, right? Because I think even myself, like I couldn't run strategy on myself. I'm going to come to these guys. We're going to do it. And that's the benefit of being a facilitator, I think.
Yeah. Also, don't push strategy. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like,
no way.
Because if you're doing design work and their clients are asking you to do the design work, but then you try to sell them strategy, they're just gonna not understand why you're doing it. There's people out there who want strategy, so just change your target.
Eric,
Well, they want it, but usually they don't know they want it, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But usually they're open to it when they hear it.
Yeah. So that's
the contrarian voice here, because I think you have to do it. I don't like, this is the first time I've only been part of this group for a week, so this is the first time I'm hearing Eric's process and Frankie's process. But I feel like you guys are leaving some stuff on the table as far as what, not just for yourself, like making more money, but for the client. Because if you don't have the resource, if the client's not paying you to do like a thorough strategy or discovery, whatever you want to call it, before you actually take on the project, then you're burning up a lot of your own time and energy to figure out how to do the project. And if you want to deliver something really of value that's going to last them, then I think you have to do like some degree of strategy that like maybe you don't have to charge them or bake it in somehow into your fees. But if you don't do strategy, I feel like it's a recipe for disaster in the long run.
Yeah,
So for me,
go ahead.
Eric. No, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's like I don't do no strategy. Like when I was saying that, I meant we don't do like an entire strategy session, right? There's different ways that people do it in terms of some people just do like questionnaires, and that's like the very basic level of strategy, right? But for us, we do kind of we do the strategy based on what kind of project it is, right? Like we don't need to do brand attributes and you know, efficiency, like that kind of crap for a client that just needs a website, right? But they do need strategy in the sense of like figuring out what the logic of the site is going to be, what the end user's happy goal is, right? And like that's strategy in a sense, but we don't separate that out and say like, oh, we're charging you this like part of the work as strategy. I kind of include it in the price. Like we never do work without doing some sort of strategy, like some sort of research and diving into it. And I think it's harder to sell people on the idea of like, we're going to just do strategy for you if there isn't like a design deliverable when you're known for being a designer, right? If I just went around doing brand strategy and consultation, I had a lot of like clout in that regard. It might be easier for me to just do that work specifically in that way. But since I'm starting out as a designer, I have the, you know, the kind of like the stigma of like design, like following behind me, and I have to correct a lot of the mindset that comes with it.
I would argue that you do the attributes though in your discovery, because you have to figure out like, what is this company about? Who are they? What's their, like, you know, you have to know all of that stuff before you're designing the website for them, unless they're just wanting you to like throw up a landing page or something, and they already have whatever aesthetic or
yeah, that's what I mean. Like if they have like a brand that's set already, like they don't need us to do that, you know.
But I guess my point is, even in that case, like you have to get from them, you have to translate from them, what is your brand?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, tell me about what you guys do or who your customers are, who your users are, so that when I design this website for you, I have that. So however big or small the strategy or the discovery is, I think it's like, I do motion work primarily. And even with motion, like I used to do the discovery, called discovery, just to figure out what are we doing. But I've blown that up to a bigger scale, and it depends on the client. Like they just want something that's already in an established brand. Then obviously I just try to digest, you know, their current brand and understand it as best as I can, and then, you know, give them the deliverable. But other companies who are usually a little bit smaller haven't really figured out their brand and don't really know who they are or who their users are. And we discovered that by going through that discovery. So I think to whatever degree you end up doing some level of discovery. And I think as designers, we need to charge for that. Like we need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question to that. Like I was going to say, oh, but would you charge them to do that part of it? And would you specify that as a deliverable?
Yeah, I do it. I do it. That's primarily like probably what I'm going to move toward, because I'm a good designer, right? And I have my own style, but you know what? There's a lot of good designers out there, and there's a lot of people that can do it faster than I can. And I don't fit everyone's design style, but I can consistently facilitate strategy and get them where they need to be, right? So I find people that align with what I view the projects as. Like I want people that are going to find value. That's why I try to kill the engagement every time. Like, why do you need this? You don't need me to do this for you, do you? And we'll, you know, we get into this conversation, and not a long one, but you know, hey, this is how I work. Is this something that you think would be valuable to you? Okay, then let me ask you a question. Who are you serving? Who are your customers? And a lot of times they don't answer. And you get into this conversation because I need to know, like David said, before I design anything, do you even know? Because I root everything. I'm a very linear thinker. In school, I have problems when they tell me to just be creative. I can't do that. But you know what I can do? I can root my like design strategy in something that I can sink my teeth into. So when I go to help somebody, or when I need an objective, I want to increase awareness for this. I want to, raise my bottom line by this amount of percent, or I want to talk to these kind of people. That's something I can design for. I can't base it, not an argument, but a design choice by saying, I picked red. Obviously, I like red. And you're like, well, I like blue. I'm like, well, now we're in a subjective debate. But if I echo that in the strategy that we took 2 days to facilitate, and I delivered this to you, and I'm like, hey, are we still talking about this user, the user that we know does these things, and we reach them? That's why we picked red. That's why we picked the sans serif typeface. That's why we picked this palette. That's why we have this visual tone. This is what is anchoring all my decisions. I don't leave it up to chance, because I can't replicate chance. I can't replicate luck. And we're all guessing to some degree, right? On some level, there's a little bit of guesswork going on, but we're doing it in the most educated way possible. And I think that that's very, very billable. The fact, and this is something, I don't know how deep we're going to go on this call, but that I love about you, Eric, but I think you undervalue what you do so much. You offer so much. And I'm not telling you like, don't be charitable. You should be charitable and you should want to help people, but saying no, and I know you and I are in the same position where we really mean like, I really don't have the time to do this. I'm super busy. Like, so make it worth your while, and make sure that the person that you're serving is actually going to get something out of it, because now you have, this consumer mom and pop shop. Maybe they don't want to pay you 10K for strategy. Maybe they can't pay you. But for me and what I'm doing, that means I'm just not their designer. That's all that means. I the way I operate and the way I understand strategy and the way I do design, I would be stealing from you if you paid me $5,000 for a logo and you didn't have a strategy guide, or we didn't do discovery first. It would be completely subjective, and I wouldn't know where to begin. I'd be taking your money. You'd be better off going to somebody else. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, for me, like, there's like a threshold of work that I'm trying to look for where because I know that we need to do strategy. I know like I hate saying strategy too. It just feels like
that's why I say discovery, man. Strategy is such a dirty word anymore.
I don't like that. Yeah. But, and this, I just say like research or something, right? Or whatever, uncovering, right? So whenever we do that for clients, there's like different amount of it, right? Like when I'm doing a brand identity package for a client, it's obviously a lot more exhaustive, like things to do for them. And the example where I brought up where maybe I'm just building like a particular landing page. Yeah, it's not as deep of a dive. And so when it gets to those kind of situations, I don't know at what point in which I can just say like, I should charge you for this deliverable in the form of we did some brand research and like, discovery.
Does it take you time to do?
Yeah, but it just almost feels like like designing something for someone without consideration, it's not really design, right? So anytime that we do design work, I feel like it's implied in there that we should already be considering all those things. And I don't know at what point where we say like, you're paying us either just for art or for art with discovery. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're using two different terms. You're saying design in one breath and art in another.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I'm saying design is art with strategy.
Absolutely. That's the difference between art and design. Art is subjective. Design is rooted in like principle and thought. So, and for me, or what I think could help you, is it taking you time to do it? I assume that the mechanic I bring my car to is going to charge me for the time it takes him, period, once he starts working on my car. That's just an accepted fact. So if it's taking you time, your time to do something, I don't know who wouldn't be comfortable with you billing for it. Creative services are one of the only services I think that we hurt ourselves by not doing that. And that's what we were talking about earlier. So say you want to be super charitable and you don't want to bill for discovery. That's fine, but you could potentially be hurting the rest of us when we do turn around and bill for discovery, because it does take time. And they're going to be like, well, Eric doesn't bill for it. We need to hold ourselves accountable as creatives, not, and if you're not going to bill for it, that's fine, but let them know, hey, this is going to take, because I guarantee if you track the time it takes you to perform a discovery on your own, the stuff that you think doesn't take very long, it probably takes you longer than you think. And the problem with not actually being compensated for it, in my eyes, is when that goes long, when the client doesn't know about it, it's not their fault, they're ignorant, and they don't appreciate it. So they don't know the work that's being put in beforehand. They know you're going to deliver a logo, but you're doing a lot of other things. So then you start to get tired and exhausted because you've been putting time into something that they have no idea you're doing. And they keep asking and asking. And then you keep delivering and delivering. And then the resentment grows. And then, you get into a really bad spot. So I agree with the initial point, which I think a lot of people mess up in the beginning, is especially in the future fans and our pro group. I love us to death, man. I do. But this is not the church of push strategy on every client. This is not hold a hammer and look at everything as a nail. Everybody might not need strategy to the degree that you're doing it, and that's okay. And either you have to decide, is it going to be an abbreviated strategy, or are you going to come to their level to what they need, or are you just not the strategist or designer for them? And that's just a decision you have to make.
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, that's why we don't take work unless it's in a certain price range. And we tell them, like, it costs us much because, like, for example, a client came to me and they're like, oh, we need a logo. And then I was like,
classic.
Okay, but it's expensive. And they're like, oh, how much do you charge? Because it's someone that likes the work that I do, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're like, yeah, so can you do a logo for me? And I was like, okay, but I'm expensive. And he's like, oh, like how much? I was like, it's going to cost you at least $5,000. And then he's like, wow, $5,000. That's a lot, man. And I'm like, well, is it? And then I kind of asked him, like, what are you hoping to accomplish with your logo? And he says, like, I don't know, I just want a nice logo. And I was like, then you're wasting your money. Yeah. And I told him the reason why, like, I charge $5,000 for a logo is because it's not the logo that takes a lot of time. Like, you can make you the Nike logo in like 30 seconds if you want me to, right? But I bet you that you would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to own that logo, wouldn't you? Right?
And how long do you want it to last?
Yeah.
There's a lot of other factors in there.
All those things. And I told him, like the strategy part of, like, doing all the uncovering, finding out what your brand stands for and why the mark is significant in that, in that perspective. Like, that's why you're paying me. And I said, we don't do logo work. We do, like, brand identity work. If you want me to design a logo for you, like, I'm not your guy. If you want just a logo, go on Fiverr. I literally told him that.
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah, because I'm like, if you just want a logo, why are you paying a designer for it? Because you can just literally have someone draw. Like, I was like, USA Today's logo is a circle. So
it's true.
Yeah, just make a shape on Illustrator and just be like, hey, that's my logo. People are going to be like, oh shit, like, that's like not a good logo, but I'll buy it, right? They're not going to care. It's not going to move someone to buy a product. And I was trying to communicate that, but at the end of the day, they can't separate the idea that a logo should be priced at a certain range. I think there's this, like, idea going out there, like, your logo, paying someone for a logo can either be $5 to $50 for, like, a crappy one, or $100 to $1,000 for, like, a decent one. And then when you roll around and say, like, $5,000, they're just like, I don't understand. And I think that's the reason why when I say pricing someone for the strategy part of it, like I don't know if I necessarily price it as a deliverable separate on its own. That's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of make the process of the work itself like the pricing, because it's not like they could take away the strategy part and be like, can you just make the logo, right? And it's not I've
had clients take away just the strategy.
Oh, really? And did you make the logo?
No, they didn't make the logo, but there is value in the strategy by itself, unless we're doing different strategies, but I don't think we are.
But I'm just saying, like, that's what I mean. Like, these clients can't come to me and be like, hey, we want you to do the logo, and then we don't want the strategy. And that's what I mean by, like, how do you price that as a deliverable? Because you can't really take that part out.
I know Frankie's point was, like, you're spending time on doing the strategy, right? Whether it's baked in or not. But I would escalate that point even to another level, is what value are you bringing to your client? Like, what are they going to get out of it? Is it going to help them get more business? And if their business making $1 million and whatever logo or identity work that you're doing for them, or website that you build for them, will it help them double their sales or double the revenue in the next year? If it does, then that's $1 million problem that you help them solve. So if you charge $10,000 to solve that $1 million problem, that deal every business person will do any day, every day. So I think you have to maybe switch and think about what problem am I solving for the client, and is it a big enough problem? Because if it's a mom and pop shop and they're, you know, pulling in $50,000 a year and it's going to help them make, you know, a few $1,000s more, then it's not worth it for them. So you're, again, like to Frankie's point, is you're not the right designer to solve their solution. So I think as people who are wanting to solve or wanting to offer brand strategy, we have to look for clients who are wanting to solve big enough problems where they're willing to trade money for time, because they can go and put it out on Fiverr or 99 Designs like a million times until they get something that they think is the right logo or whatever. But do you want to waste your time doing that? And what sort of assurance do you have that that's going to be successful? So I think that's the value that we're bringing to our clients, is that, like, thinking about what problem are they solving and then specifically trying to solve that problem through design. And I think that if you think of it that way, then you have no problems charging them $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 for a strategy or discovery, whatever you want to call it.
I got to follow up. All right. So Frankie, when you tell a client you're going to do a logo or a branding package for them, right?
Sure.
Do you mark, so you'll say like, okay, the strategy session is going to cost X amount of dollars, right? And then
Do you want to know how I do it, or is that what you're asking?
Because I'm wondering if it's more effective for us to say like, we price everything as a deliverable. You know what I mean? Like the strategy session, logo.
The way I do it, man, I'll get an inquiry, right? And to your point before, like I look at the logo and the strategy and all that stuff. Like, what if I sold you a car without an engine? Right? To me, that's a logo with no strategy. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. Like, you're sitting on a piece of junk, pretty much, right? So that's how it's, to me, like I can't do one without the other. So strategy precedes design. I forget what quote that was. It's like, but anyway, so I'll get a logo inquiry, right? And then of course, you know, why do you need a logo? Why do you want to spend so much money on a logo? Okay. And then I'll ask these questions, and a lot of the questions are questions that we all ask, but that they don't have the answer to. I'm like, well, before we even begin unless I just take your money today, $5K, and I design you a logo that I can't tell you if it's going to work or not. It's going to look great. I don't know if it's really going to be effective. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to make pretty things, or do you want to, you know, increase your business, increase your cash flow, whatever you want to do? Normally 9 times out of 10, someone is going to want to do the latter. Right. And that's what I'm like, well, I do strategy or discovery, and it precedes, you know, all the design work because of these things. And it's going to define these things. And that in itself, yes, is deliverable. I don't use those terms because a lot of people don't understand that. But I say, before me personally, the way I work, can even deliver you a logo, I need to know who I'm designing for and what your goals are as a business. And normally the value in that comes by asking those questions that they just can't answer. Right. So then when they realize they can't answer those things, they normally say, okay, now your value, like we're talking about with Julian, now your value is starting to show. And it's just a couple of quick questions. And then you can kind of maybe shoot around a couple. Well, you could do this, you could do that. Typically in this situation is what I recommend, maybe some food for thought. Because it's never, I mean, maybe once I had someone on the phone that's like, bill me right now. Let's do it. Normally they take it and go sit on it for a little while, come back. And I try to push them away. I'm like, maybe, you know, if you just want a logo, like I don't do that. And this is why I don't do that, for the reasons that we talked about. And to David's point, you know, okay, what are you trying to do? How is this going to affect your business? Are you going to, you know, increase by this much? Like, do you really think that in the grand scheme of things, like this $10,000, this $5,000 is going to tip the scale for you? And is it really that big of an investment? People think it is just for thinking. If you phrase it like that, or you put it in that box and you're like, pay me $10,000 and I'll think for you. Like, you're doing a lot more than that. I think if you're having problems with the container, is it like, maybe we need to just go in and define exactly, you know, I can show you what I have on my proposal, that how it's laid out pretty much as far as what they'll be getting, how I communicate that. Is that kind of what you're struggling with as far as like how to package it?
I think it was more of it's actually like a really arbitrary detail question.
Go ahead, man. Ask it. We're here.
I don't think it's arbitrary at all.
it's kind of like when I put together a proposal deck and stuff and say like, because the last client that I got, we charged him 10K for the deliverables, and then we said like, oh, for the strategy session, like we won't charge you because normally we charge this much, but we didn't because you were one of our first clients and we're just kind of get to know you and stuff like that, right? But I'm wondering if we almost should have done it the other way, where we say like, oh, we're gonna charge you for strategy, but not for deliverables, because do you kind of get it?
Is that for a situation, or why would you not charge for both?
Well, I mean, okay, the thing is like we charge the same amount regardless. But
well,
like
I think there's a difference between just charging a large number for charging a large number or a small amount for a small amount. I think, again, if we get back to like the reason why we're asking them, why do you need to get this logo done, or why do you need to get this website done? We will uncover like, well, because our sales have been down the last 3 years, we're trying to get back up. Where were your sales last 3 years? Well, we came from $1 million and now we're doing $500,000. We don't know what happened. Okay, so we need to diagnose what that is. So what value is that to you to get it back up to $1 million or beyond? And for them, I mean, the obvious answer is it's worth at least $500,000, right? So we discount for the risk and charge them not $500,000, but we charge them $50,000, right? Which is a very small percentage of the return that they're going to get. Yeah. So I think if you frame it that way, then it's not about my services or my hourly rate is this, and I'm going to put in this amount of work. So it's got to be at least $10,000, or it's going to be $10,000, whatever work I do.
So you're talking about value-based pricing.
I think, yeah, I am. I mean, you can do it however you want to do it, but after finding out like what business goal that they're trying to accomplish, and they're trying to, make $500,000 next year or increase revenue by $500,000 next year, then like, okay, you can charge them $10,000 for that, like what you were charging your first client, but they know they're getting a super duper duper deal, like a killer deal, and in a sense they know that they're ripping you off if they're, if they kind of can calculate what that is.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense that's where you have to start, because if you're just solving an aesthetic problem, a visual problem, then that's a whole other conversation. But if you're trying to solve a business problem, then start there, like find out what their business problem is, and then you can start figuring out, like reverse engineering that to find out, can I solve this? Or maybe you find out you can't, like, well, I can't solve that problem, so I'm the wrong person. I can try to refer you to someone else that I think might be able to. But until you actually do a little bit of that diagnostic with them, you won't know what goal you're trying to accomplish as a designer, I think, or a strategist.
I think my problem is I want to help too much, to the point where like I'm willing to cut my own game if I could help the person out. Like, you know what I mean? Like Frankie, like we talk about this all the time. It's really hard for me to tell people like who need my help and I know I could help them, right? And they'll come to me and say like, we don't have a budget of like $10,000, right? And I just like look at the work and I go, I can do a killer job on this. And I like these people, and I'll negotiate down and I'll try to meet them somewhere, right? But I'm wondering, because I tell everyone around me exactly what you tell me, where it's like, why are you pricing yourself lower? Like, it's like you're hurting people around you by like other designers, other creatives, by taking a low rate. Like you're bringing like illegitimacy to our work in that sense. Like I'll tell
people are saying that to you.
No, I'll tell them that.
Okay.
Like to other creatives that come to me and they're saying like I have one guy, he came to me and he said like, I'm doing video work for this client, and this client is charging me, or I'm charging this client $75 per video. And I was like, what the fuck? And I kind of like got on his case, and I was like, dude, why would you ever take that job? And he's like, oh, because they need my help. We have a good relationship, blah, blah, blah. Like the same bullshit that I'm saying to you guys. But then he'll say stuff like, yeah,
Well, it's not
like,
bullshit, man.
yeah, but yeah, it isn't. But then I'll tell them like, they can afford to pay you,
It depends. If this person really needs help, I believe me, it's no charity, but I like to help people. And if I can do that in my spare time, I will. But minimum level of engagement, right? If you're keeping the lights on or whatever, and you need to hit a certain number, like that's your dead stop, right? And the more you make those concessions, the more you're hurting yourself, really. In the long run, you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I wouldn't sit there and say that you wanting to help people is a bad thing by any means. But what I think you need to do, what David mentioned earlier, realize how much you actually are helping them. Yeah, right now, they got to spend an extra $5K. But look ahead 2 years, what is that going to do for their business? You are giving them a killer deal, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this.
And I think you can be creative about it. Like you're in the early stages of your strategy or discovery, like presenting yourself as a brand strategist, right? So I think you can be creative. If it's someone or a company that you really want to help, then maybe you can talk them into, hey, look, I need some case studies, and this is a win for you. This is a win for me. Do you mind if I bring in a crew that records the sessions? And I won't put like, sensitive information in there, but I want to get a sense of how I do strategy so I can put it up on my site, and so I can show future prospects, how I do strategy and what value that brings. Then there's like kind of an exchange, right? So it doesn't have to be always monetary, but discovering what their problem is and what it's worth to them monetarily, that gives you, I think, a baseline to negotiate. Whether it be time, whether it be money, whether, whatever it is, I think you can do that. And then once you get enough people where they're, beating down your door because it's Eric's sin and we need Eric on this problem, then you need to raise your rates because you have so many people knocking down your door to work with you. But I think,
and you do, and he does right now.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Don't you? I thought you did.
I did for a bit, and then it kind of dried up it's like a slow time right now.
And you can do stuff on spec, bro. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like David was saying, when the demand comes in and you just literally don't have the time, that's a whole nother story. But what I think the thing that I want to make sure that you take away from this is you can and absolutely should charge for what you think, because it takes you time, not just that, but you are creating value. If you were just like a design machine and someone came in, you were like, don't care this, boom, next, don't care this. Like, would you really do someone's logo without strategy? No, you wouldn't. You said you wouldn't. But why? Why wouldn't you do it without strategy? Just tell me, like, why do you do it? Because you want to?
Because he's a nice guy.
No,
it's because he's already doing the strategy in his head, and he's so good at it. He can at least get something pretty damn good. You know what I mean?
Tell me why though. Why do you do that?
This is deep.
Dude, it honestly is probably because it doesn't feel like that much work. Yeah. That's what you said. And
the strategy doesn't feel like that much work?
If I tracked it, it probably is a lot more work. But
why do you think, why are you equating the amount of work that you're doing with the value that you're providing?
Yeah, dude.
This is basic stuff. You know this. I mean, I know
I'm
this.
serious, man.
Yeah.
I know you know this, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it's like a workout, right? The amount of pain, and my body is suffering now because of this. The amount of pain I put myself through and how sore I feel after doesn't necessarily have a direct correlation to the quality of the workout that I got. It's the same thing, who was it, Paula Scher, or with the Citibank logo or whatever? She's like, look, that's the logo. They're like, oh, it took you 30 seconds. Like, took me 30 years to figure this out, like how to do this, right? It's not about how long it takes you. If it's easy for you, Eric, it means you're good at it. And it means you should be paid a premium for it. There's people that can't figure it out. And maybe that's what you need to be chasing down. Don't necessarily like, oh, I didn't stay up till I fell asleep on my desk, so it wasn't worth the money. That's not what people are asking. People don't care how long it took, to be honest with you. So some people do, but the people that do care how long it takes are commodity trading and price shopping, in my eyes. I want people that want the results. Okay. That's the people that I want to help. So if I were coming to you and you said to me, Frankie, I could solve this problem, this major problem that you had in 10 minutes, I would be completely happy with that and pay you for the work that you did, the problem that you solved. Not, well, it only took you 10 minutes. I'm only going to pay you this. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Everything makes sense. It's just the mindset is really hard to shift.
And to my point before, why I was asking, why do you feel obligated to do strategy before you design something? Just from me to you, designer to designer, why do you conduct strategy?
Not in front of anybody.
Yeah, no, because you can't do a good job if you don't know what the problem is.
Okay, so it's vital, right, for what you do. But what do you mean? Define a good job for me. It's not going to look good.
No, well, yeah, it has to look good. Like, that's a given. If you're going to pay me a lot of money to do something, I'll make it look good. But for me, it has to affect the bottom line. That's what I tell my clients. Like, is it going to change the way that you do business, or like bring you monetary, like, income, like affect your income? Like, if it doesn't do that, then there's no point in doing it. That's pretty much what I tell them.
So that's why you would advocate for strategy beforehand.
Yeah. I mean, we always do it. It's just, I don't charge all the time.
No, you're hearing yourself say it.
Yeah.
It's because Eric's too nice. It's like a smaller person comes to him. They don't have a huge budget. So he goes, oh, I'm not going to charge you for the strategy. We'll just build the site. But he does it anyway in his head real quick. I mean, he's done it 100 times before. He knows what to do. And maybe 80% of the way, and the other 20% would have been found in doing strategy, and possibly even finding another direction to even go. You never know. That's the strategy part, right? Or the discovery. It could completely change it, but you set him up with a solution that'll work for them for what they have. And that's just because he's a nice guy. But I think now we're at a point where we would be like, okay, well, we just can't help you. I'll try to find someone who can. But Eric's nice. And he's fast. And he's fast too. So,
I mean, dude, do you look both ways before you cross the street? You probably do, right?
Nah, what are you talking about?
I'm just not the guy for the people that want to just dart into the street. I'm just not the guy. I look both ways and then I go. So that's the way I like it's. And I know that's like a ridiculous example, but that's like how black and white it is in my mind. I can't do one without the other. And I know you're like, oh, but you're going to look both ways anyway. Like, yes, but not everyone does. And it takes time. And that's why it's valuable. Do you care if you get hit by a car? How much do you care if you get hit by a car? Is it worth, if it takes me 2 seconds to look, or if I run up and down the street and look, or, if I'm using a digital camera to look, do you care about that? Or do you care if you get hit by a car? To me, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Or if you have a drone, because there's all kind of fancy stuff out there, dude. And don't feel guilty about the amount of time, man. That's not. You gotta flip that, because that's not what you're billing for. You're not billing for your time, right?
Yeah, I know.
You're billing for the value.
Time is the most.
And dad's gonna be upset if you don't start getting compensated for strategy. I could see him just like, Eric.
But it's not.
This Carl was deep.
It's not just for you though. I think it's for the client. Like if they're gonna come to you to solve a problem that's worth solving, then to give them a solution that costs a fraction of what they should be spending on solving that problem, it does them a disservice too, because then they're just gonna, once you've solved that problem and they run into another problem, they're gonna go and shop around for someone to put a Band-Aid on that problem and go about it the same way. So in the long run, you're not really helping their business if you think of it in that sense.
Stealing.
Yeah. So I get it. It's a huge mindset shift too when you're coming out of if you work for someone else and you're used to making money by time, like made whatever $50, $100 an hour, and now you're on your own and trying to run a business, and you're charging other businesses, it's like a completely different, because you're bringing a different set of values, I think, too.
Dude, it's that Korean
It is.
the Asian.
Oh, great. Now the conversation.
Hey, I'm just saying, like in our culture, it is like creativity isn't priced well. Like we don't price that well. Yeah, that's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can understand that. I will say though, in the project that Mike and I just did, well, the strategy portion of it, the client had like, I don't know, they had a like multi-million-dollar company, government contracts, 20 years, like doing this or close to it. And he told us, not only thanked us at the end, but told us he learned more in the past 2 days doing remote discovery than he had in the last 5 years that he was in business. That validated a lot for me.
Yeah, I need to see you do it.
Yeah, he said he had fun too.
Let's do it. There's nothing stopping us. The next strategy I get, you got a spot on the call, man.
Yeah.
No
All
problem.
right, guys. I gotta bounce out of this one too.
Yeah, we should call it. It's been 2 hours now.
Yeah,
2 hours, 5 minutes.
It started out as like, I might be able to make it. I don't know. Guys are like, it's like,
well, yeah. Anytime you start talking about like personal values and like how that ties into pricing yourself, like that's a big discussion.
Well, I think it went really well. I'm so tired right now.
I am too, dude.
I'm
Just getting
wiped.
started.
I'm gonna go ahead and have to work probably for another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, me too. I have some work that I need to get done. You see that, guys? Hustle hard.
I'm going to bed.
But-
I got to
but
go to work in the
Bill
morning.
for it. Bill for it.
All right. Well, that was it. That was the show for today. So we had Frankie, Dave, Eric, and Zach, which bailed a little while ago, like 50 minutes ago. Doesn't seem like it, but
And Julian.
oh yeah, we had a guest, Julian, on. That was pretty cool. I kind of liked it. Was kind of cool, like us talking and then just kind of turned into like a little radio kind of show where people are commenting. Someone jumped on. Like that was pretty cool, right? I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The only thing we're missing is like where all the mics cut out and we're all still talking and like fades out, you know?
Oh, I could totally do that at some
Like
point.
production value stuff.
If I was more prepared, I could do it. Just because this is OBS, so I can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, dude, thank you guys for hanging in there. Like Mason's been here the whole time. Julian's been here the whole time.
Yeah, I cannot
yeah.
believe so many people
Yeah.
showed up too. It was crazy.
And Mayor's been here the whole time. Like you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
I hope it helped. And do us a favor then. If you've hung out this long, like let us know what we can do better or, you know, what we can do next.
What we should
Really?
talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, I already have a question for next time. Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, I want to. You guys want to try to do this next Sunday, maybe at the same time?
Yeah, I'm down for it, dude. This is good.
All right. So it's later, so all the dads are good, and Eric's young, so he's fine. And
Nobody cares about your schedule, Eric.
Yeah, I'm only like 1 year younger, man.
You can pause Hulu for 2 seconds.
Dude, I canceled my Netflix account, man. So it was just wasting too much time.
all right, you guys want me to kill the live stream now?
Yeah.
All right, I'm
Hey,
killing
guys.
the live stream.